At Progressive Mobility, we're so much more than the average physical therapy clinic. We follow a 3-step process with each client. First step is to take care of your pain. The second step is to extinguish it at its source. And the third is to keep you pain-free long-term so that you can continue doing the things that you love. My name is Jen. I'm the owner and head physical therapist at Progressive Mobility, and I would love to chat with you. My number is 864-485-5910. Thanks a lot.
Sportsmanship, leadership, inspire, determination, excitement. Welcome to the Slide Podcast. Your hosts, Jen and Aaron, are on deck and ready to introduce the current stars of Little League Baseball. So grab your favorite sports drink, fasten your chin strap, and get ready to go inside the chalk lines of our Little League fields. Here are your hosts, Coach Jen and Coach Aaron.
So welcome back to the Slide Podcast. I am Coach Aaron, and I am joined by Bryson Mitchell, sir. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
And Coach Jen, how are you doing, ma'am?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, you're kind of a permanent staple here, so we'll keep you here for a little bit. But man, it's been an awesome last probably 5 or 6 days. So we released our Softball Stars episode, part 1, and we released it Friday. We challenged the girls that were on the show to get more likes, and if they get enough, we'll release part 2 early. And so today was the early day. So we released it and surprised some of the girls. So Jen, have you had any feedback, heard anything about the show that we released for softball?
Well, I was going to ask, I've been a little bit disconnected from social media this week just because of lots of things going on at work. So how many listens did we get? Where are we moving up in the charts? How many likes and things did we get from that episode?
Oh, I think between all the platforms, we probably, it's a big deal for us. So I think we got around 700 likes if you add them all together.
That's amazing.
So by far the most popular episode that we've released. And I was in touch with Bella Dayton's mom. She found out that we were doing the show beforehand, and, she started following us, and she loved the show. And that was really cool to hear Bella's mom talk about, how the show went. And she said, I could tell Bella got a little nervous when she heard that you had been in communication. I didn't bring up some of the stuff that mom had discussed, maybe like kid stories, but it was fun. And then we had, we've got some fans up in the PA area and Michigan and some of the others, and all the feedback's been great.
Well, good. Yeah, everything I've heard has been super positive so far. I see Coach T Money on a regular basis during the week. And so she had a lot of fun. And she said that especially when the girls started to ask the questions, she's like, that was my favorite part. She said she really liked to hear the girls talk, and how, like we were saying before, it just gets conversational. People just kind of put their guard down a little bit and just start talking softball. And that was where it was at for us too.
Yeah. And I think honestly, the fact that we split it in 2 episodes, that helped, because the episode that we released today is the one where you really hear the girls come out of their shell a little bit and they really start to talk. So I was pleasantly surprised with just the reception. So awesome job to all the girls out there. So Casey, Juliana, Riley for being on. Who else do we have? Because I'm going to forget some names.
Melody.
Addison, Melody, obviously Coach Steinman, T-Money. She was on with us. We had a lot of fun. So we'll have to do another follow-up show with those girls later on and see how they're doing. And we'll stay in contact with Bella as well. So, but hey, we're here today because we've got an amazing guest that I've been super excited to get onto the show. And he graciously accepted. He's a published author, successful coach. I think he holds some batting records, I believe, for North Florida University. I believe I've done some research on him. So we want to welcome Duke Baxter to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm really excited. I've been watching your podcast. I've been listening. I've been seeing it on social media. And, I got to tell you, I look forward to seeing what you guys are posting next, because you're always posting great stuff. So thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, no problem at all. And honestly, as a youth coach, Jen and I, one of the things that we've learned in the show is, even though we're providing this for everyone else, like, we're learning so much ourselves. And like, it's even changed our coaching styles. And I definitely,
absolutely.
Like my philosophy as a coach has changed, which it should. I think coaches should be coachable. But anyway, Duke, man. So tell us, man, like, how did you get started in all this stuff? Where does it start from?
Well, it goes back to when I was little. I was 6 years old when I first started, and I played Little League in Raritan for a coach named Coach Tybersky. And one day I was, striking out. I was the little guy because I needed an extra player. And he got down on a knee and was like, "Hey, I believe in you. You can do it. Like, I wouldn't have you on the team if I didn't think you, if you had it in you." And, next thing you know, it just led to a little bit more practice and then hitting some balls. And, you keep on going up the ranks and you play high school ball. But it all starts with a certain moment, right? A coach that believes in you, that gives you a little bit extra, that it kind of just fuels the fire. Next thing you know, I'm playing high school ball. And then I went to a junior college in Florida called FCCJ and had two amazing coaches there. And they just really, you have some coaches that are hard on you. You have some coaches that yell at you. You have some coaches that coddle you. You have some coaches that are pat you on the back. And through my journey, these two coaches just really got me to be able to anticipate the game, to try new things, to read balls in the dirt. And it just really got me to blossom and turn into a much better player. I then signed a scholarship at the University of North Florida, played 3 years of professional baseball after that. And it was then every summer I would always go back and do camps. In high school, I would do camps and give back. And I think it was then that I realized, like, there's so much to the game. Playing it's one side, but when you're coaching it and can help other kids do what you love doing, it's just a different feeling. And so I think that when I was in high school is when I realized, like, it's much more. I hope I make it to the big leagues, and I hope I make it to this big show. Like, that was my ultimate dream always. But coaching was another thing that just got me so fueled up. And when I finished playing ball in 2002, it was, to be honest with you, it brought me to a dark place because all of those years I was a baseball player. Duke Baxter was known as the baseball player. And now all of a sudden you're playing your last game and you're like, now what? Like, what am I now? Yeah. I haven't, like, it's almost like my identity was gone.
Right.
Because I'm no longer Duke Baxter, the baseball player, because I'm not playing anymore. So I ended up opening up Zoned in 2002, and just some of my buddies that played for the Patriots, they worked with us. Next thing you know, it year after year, and 20 years later, here we are still. We've been here for 20 years. We have 17 guys that work here. We have full-time staff. It's just the next level of the game, right? So transitioning from player to coach, and now, so it all just started with a guy at 6 years old believing in me and me loving the game, and then coaching and helping kids, and it just turned into just this monster of, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I can see it. And that's the funny thing. Like, I love listening to you talk because I can just feel the energy coming from you. So Bryson, so story sounds a little similar, right, Bryson? So
Very.
It was baseball your whole life, and you're about to graduate college, right?
Yeah. Listening to that story, it's like, well, there's still things to do in baseball.
Yeah.
There's always something you can still do in baseball.
You plan to coach, Bryson?
I do. I don't know where or how, but I 100% do.
So Bryson's the baseball manager for the USC Gamecocks. So I always have to say Gamecocks because, again, Bryson, I don't want to get people confused and think you're in California. So, Jen, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Like, Duke, coming from your background and talking to somebody like Bryson, who is still in college, has a little bit of time left, but not much. What would you suggest for him, just going through what you've been through, to get into any coaching or facilities like you've started? Do you have any suggestions for kids out there that might be listening that are in the same type situation?
100%. It's so fun because we've had so many guys that wanted to coach, wanted to get into coaching. They come here, they work under us, with us. We do lessons, we do teachings, we have coaches clinics together. So we're going through drills, and we've had, since we started, 9 guys go on to be college coaches that came through here. 2 years ago, we had Jamie Quinn, who's now the head coach at FDU. We had Carissa, who, unfortunately, and fortunately for her, she was our full-time softball instructor. She's now at College of St. Elizabeth. She's the head coach there. So it's like year after, it's like you come here, you see what it's like, you coach a team, Now you're out and about with the 16 or 17U. You're talking to college coaches. Because it keeps you in the game still.
That's
like
right.
I always say, you're in the game, you're staying around. It's like a monster fraternity that you're still with. When you stop playing and you get away from it, it's like gone. You're like, wait, what just happened? My whole circle's gone. Well, when you're back in a facility, and you're back around it, your circle starts all over again. Now you have 16 other guys that played with him, and he played with him, and he's looking for this, and next thing you know, you're like, dude, so many coaches have gone on to be college coaches just from working in the facility and being in the game and staying in the game. And
I love it. That's leadership right there, man, because you're developing not only just the players in your facility, but you're developing the future leaders coming out of that building. So super applause and a round of applause for that one. Hey, let me ask you a question. So how's coaching changed over the years? So you opened your facility back in 2002. How have you noticed coaching has changed throughout the years? Harder?
Gave a USA Baseball coaching talk on Saturday. I was the guest speaker, and we were talking about transitioning from player to coach. We were talking about the importance of youth coaches and how important they are because they're the front line, right?
Yeah.
So many people want to invest in the travel kid or the travel ball coach, but at the end of the day, the T-ball kid, the T-ball mom or dad, they're the ones that are either getting these kids to continue to play ball or quit.
Right.
So it's that's where the big goal should be. That's where we should be investing all of our time and money in teaching that T-ball coach how to get all 12 of those kids to play next year again. So I think that that's something that we need to do. But I think that coaching's changed in that there's so much more technology, right? Yeah. And not only technology for the coaches, but the technology for the players.
Right.
You can have 14 you kids going, what's my exit below? What's my
spin rate?
what's my spin rate? And you're like, so if you're an old school coach that doesn't know the new, terminology, it's almost like, well, they're going to go look for the guy that knows what spin rate is. And
that's right.
And I know enough of it to be dangerous, but I'm not this kind of guy that's everything revolves around the numbers, because what I'm finding, a lot of kids, well, you know what? I got my new top score, my new personal best. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but it was a ground ball to the shortstop. Yeah, but it was 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's okay, it was 100 miles an hour, but it was in the ground. How about posting a 98 mile an hour line drive in the gap that's going to the, so I'm not knocking the numbers because the numbers are great. They help us. They help the kids. But some kids are just so hooked on that. I've seen kids that have awesome exit feelers, but they can't hit. They're not good hitters. Mm-hmm. But off the tee and off front toss, whack, whack, whack. But then in the game, you're like, well, what's wrong? It's well, you don't work on your swing. You just work on how to swing hard. There's more to the game.
Some of those numbers,
hard,
some of those numbers don't translate necessarily to a successful play or a successful hit or pitch on the field.
And the coaches, that's where some of the parent side of it makes it challenging, right? Well, my son throws the hardest on the team. Okay, yes, he does, but he misses every ground ball. And when he throws it to the backstop. Right. So we can work on that, and we can work on honing your skills. But it's not just, the numbers are thrown in their face so much that they think that's the end all be all, and it's not.
Yeah.
That's not, so I think coaching has changed over the years in that there's just so much technology and information out there that it's how do you hone it in and make the best and the most out of it in a way to where a 10-year-old can actually accept it and understand it, opposed to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And they're just so much.
I can't imagine.
It's dude, let them play.
Right.
Let them play. Let's get them let's not get them hooked on their numbers. Let's get them hooked on being a good teammate and bouncing back and having a good attitude and doing the right thing. That's the more important part when you're building an athlete.
I hope you're listening there. Are you hearing this? He's hearing.
And I think that there's such a delicate balance too, because, Bella talked on the softball episode about the technology that the big D1 schools have. So she's at Texas, and as a facility or as a sport, maybe even, I don't know if each sport has their own, but they have nutritionists and they have exercise physiologists and they have all of this technology. And in order to play at a school like that, of course you have to have good skills or you wouldn't be recruited. But then you take a look at somewhere like Limestone, which is a smaller D2 school, in our area, they don't have that technology, but they still have really high level players on their team. So it's like, how much stock do you put into having all the technology? I don't know. It's like I said, there's a delicate balance between the two, because I think you can have a lot of skill, a lot of raw talent, and maybe just not be recruited for those bigger D1 schools and not have the access to that technology, but still be able to really perform at the level that you're at.
We use that type of stuff at South Carolina. We use the exit velo, the spin rate, the launch angle. I mean, all that stuff. And when it comes to pitchers, all the vertical break and all that. But at the same time, like our hitting coach is so big on quality at bats. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about with, yeah, it's good to know it. But at the same time, guess what? You want a guy leading off every day that's going to give you a quality at bat, hopefully at least once a game. And then you're going to be set up for success.
Yeah.
So it's not always just about all that, but it's good to have because it helps you get better. But I think that's one of the things we use a little more in the off season than we do in season, just because in season, yeah, because you're changing things a little bit in the off season, trying to get ready for the season. So it helps you get to that point and you can see differences. It helps you physically see or statistically see differences in numbers. But at the end of the day, once the lights come on, you got to play baseball and you got to get on base.
Well, at the end of the day, that's when your foundational skills come into play. Like all those numbers, I mean, that's just for stat on a piece of paper. But like you said, when the lights come on, that's when that 6U coach and that 8U coach, all those things that hopefully they taught them starts to come into play. So, hey, Duke, I got to ask you though. So we had Christy Moore on the show. She was actually episode 4, I believe it was. So quite some time ago. Jeez.
Yeah,
so she was the umpire from Mississippi that was attacked. And so I've seen you talk about this, on social media and some of your videos and your podcast. Like, what do you think's going on right now and why the world and Little League and parents and umpires and this, what do you think's causing this mess?
To be honest, I having 3 boys and I have a daughter, but, and she played softball in earlier years, but just watching them. So I'm coaching 10U, 11U, 12U, like for the last 20 years, I've been coaching something under 12-year-old baseball, right? And I think that a lot of this stuff is stemming from stats and game changer. I two of my parents almost get into a fight because, the one dad's like, the ball goes right between Johnny's legs. Oh, yeah, that's a hit.
Yeah.
And the other dad's like, what do you mean that's a hit? He went between his legs. He's like, and then now the dad's like, wait, why'd you give him a hit and not him a hit? And like, everyone's like,
oh
stats.
My gosh.
And I'm just like, guys, forget about it. We're not doing Game Changer anymore. Game Changer's not for that. It's not for, I'm not looking at the stats to be like, oh, Johnny's hitting 360. He's going to hit the 3rd slot tomorrow. Like, that's just for me to see who's playing, to see what's going on, for when when one of the parents are at home and they wish they were at the game to see what's going on.
Right.
It's not about that part. And so many people, again, are just so caught up with like themselves. Like the parents are so caught up with themselves. It's like, that's a balk. No, it's like, bro, like, you even know what a balk is? So I started going on my TikTok and I started putting different situations on going, you make the call. What is this? And so I had a runner on second base. The pitcher lifts his leg up. The guy takes off for third. The guy picks off the third. I had 11,000 people voting, right? 11,000. 5,500 said it was a balk. 6,500 said it was not a balk, which means it was a 50-50.
Wow.
6,000 people that were wrong, like didn't know what the rule was. So how many times you hear one dad or mom say something and then everyone else just agrees? And you're like, do you even know what that even means? No, I was just agreeing with them because it sounded good. And I'm just, it's like, that's how it starts. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even know
I agree.
what's going on. They're just like jumping on. We had a monster umpiring clinic here. United Umpire Group was here. College guys, pro guys. And there was like 60 guys here. And the guy was saying how the average umpire used to be 38 years old. And now the average umpire is 58 to 63 years old.
Really?
I'm like, no one's doing it.
Right. Nobody wants to sign up.
To be an umpire. He's like, why would you do something that every call you're wrong to somebody? Right. You know what I mean? Like, did you ever umpire a game? When that ball's close, it's like, is it a ball? Is it a strike? It could be a ball. Maybe it's a strike. Like, you're missing calls all the time that are like, those borderline calls, right? Like, so I just think that people get so fired up over winning and the championship game that every little thing, they're just like, it's crazy.
It's insane. And like, so in Christy Moore's situation, so she made a bad, or in the other's eyes, she made a bad call on the field with, I want to say 10U softball.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was youth softball. And I think it was even a rec league. Like, she makes the call. She ejects the lady out because she's like bad mouthing her and saying a bunch of vulgar language in front of kids, and then walks out and then gets hit. Well, then this lady, she has the nerve to plead not guilty in court. And so this was going on, I guess, back in April. And Christy texted me yesterday and said that her new court trial is November 7th. But it's situations like that. I want to have confidence in our justice system. She'll pay for what she did, but you got to set examples for others. And it can't be allowed at all.
And you know what I said? Another thing I think is very important is that coaches take responsibility for their parents.
That's right.
As well as their players.
Yep.
And I know it's hard. I know it's super hard. But we always have a meeting before the season. And I say, listen, there's no sitting behind home plate, because the last thing Johnny wants to do after every pitch is see his dad going like this.
Right.
On a ball, or he's yelling at the umpire, that was a strike, that was a ball. Mm-hmm. And then you see Johnny's body language. Every time his dad makes bad body language, he makes bad body language. And it's like, it's the worst thing. So nobody can stand behind home plate. Number two, nobody can talk to the umpires about a call except for the coach. They can they can root, they can cheer on their, but so it's almost like taking responsibility for your parents and saying, okay, listen, Mrs. So-and-so, listen, if you argue again, or if I hear those words again, Johnny can't play on our team anymore. And it's because it's a rule that we have. And I really feel bad for Johnny, but nothing good is coming out of you yelling at the umpire. It's not helping our team. We're not going to get a good call then. Like, let me handle that. I know what I'm doing. I know you want to give your 2 cents, and that's fine. But there comes a point to where the language and the negativity, it wears people down. And then those kids are the ones that talk back to the umpires. Mm-hmm. They're the ones arguing calls themselves. And now, as a coach, it's a disaster. You can't have it. So we're very specific with our rules. Our kids, before every game, after the catcher throws the last ball, he turns around and says, "Hi, umpire, my name is Joey. Have a good game." And the umpire shakes his hand, boom, boom. When the game's over, we high five or fist bump or whatever, all the players, and then each kid walks over to the umpire and shakes their hands and looks him in the eye and says, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And then we sprint down to the outfield grass and we give our postseason talk, or post-game speech and stuff. But so it's like trying to instill, like, these are the rules. This is how we respect the game. And it starts with that guy back there. He's going to make good calls. He's going to make bad calls. He's going to do this, that. But at the end of the day, there's nothing we're arguing, because nothing can switch. Right. Nothing can switch. If there's any calls that can switch, I'm going to do it, and I'll do it the right way. Right. But nothing else. If he calls a ball, he can't call it a strike next. It's all right.
Because then the system's broken. The system's broken. If we expect the umpire to reverse a call, then it's going to happen to us. I mean, I see it so many times. So Duke, when I'm bored and during baseball season and we have a free afternoon, which that's very rare, we go hang out at the park, and I take my boy. We go to the park and we just watch other games. And I sit in the crowd with the parents, and I just observe some of the stuff, and I see it all the time, where you got the one dad that thinks he understands all of the rules and the technicalities and stuff, and he's leading on the rest of the parents, and every one of them are wrong. And it's just like, you know what? Let's just be happy our kids are out there having fun. That's all we need to be happy about. Show great sportsmanship, respect the officials. Because to me, Duke, and this goes into more life, but when you teach a kid to disrespect an umpire, I feel like you've also taught them to disrespect other leaders that's going to play a part in their life. And because if it's okay to talk back to the umpire because you don't like his rule, then you're going to maybe question your teacher, the police officer, anyone. And I don't think parents think about that mess.
They don't. They just think about what's in that moment at that time. They don't think about the repercussions on down the road. And that what it ends up being, that kid is not coachable, not recruitable, and their career likely ends early, and the parents need to take responsibility for that. So I think that starts at the top. The commissioners of the leagues, for certain, the head coaches need to take responsibility for that. And like you're saying, Duke, like just stop it from the beginning. Have a conversation with your parents, have a conversation with your assistant coaches, and let them know the expectations. And there's no confusion at that point.
On all that, I was in 12U. I'll never forget it to this day, because I was 12U and I got called out of the plate, thought I got tagged on the back, didn't agree with the call. We were in the World Series. It's hot. It's game 3 of the day. I'm young and dumb and stupid. And I said something to the umpire, and my dad was an assistant coach. I got to the dugout, and as I got to the dugout, I wish I never made it to the dugout. And I did not play the rest of the game. I did not play the rest of the weekend. I sat on the bench the rest of the weekend. And from that point on, it got to the point where my senior year of high school, there was an umpire that I got to know later on that called a lot of the games. And I went out to eat with a few of my buddies. He was at the same restaurant. He paid for our meal because me and him have became friends over the years of him umpiring my games. And it all goes back to the World Series when I was 12 years old. And I will never forget that, because it was tough. I didn't want to go home that day. And my mom gave it to me. My dad gave it to me. That's just one of those things. Like, there's no, everybody's going to mess up. Nobody's perfect. There's no reason for, especially a 12-year-old like myself, being a moron. But even coaches, you can ask about a call without being a jerk about it.
That's right.
There's ways to go about it where nobody is being disrespected, but you still get the answer you want and you move on.
Yep.
Because like Duke said, they're not going to reverse the call necessarily just because you disagree.
Exactly.
And it's crazy. So what is the best thing, what you would recommend? Because you've got a book, right? So about youth baseball and coaching. And it's taking on
the title of coach.
Yeah, taking on the title of coach. So I see so much where you get parents in Little League, rec ball, where parents or dads are usually volunteered to be the coach, and they didn't necessarily sign up for it. Mm-hmm. And Jen and I have talked about this all the time, because you got coaches leading these kids and the coaches haven't been trained or coached. And, I hear you talk about coaching clinics. How do you get that started in a league to where we can help these new coaches set the right expectations for the parents? And how do you help them, start that 6U team and keep the right mindset as those kids progress with those coaches? What do you tell those coaches?
I think that's awesome. That's a great question. I've been digging into this since I started, and we always run free coaches clinics for any coach in the area to come. But the problem is, most of the coaches that come are the ones that have already coached, because they are coachable and they want to learn more.
Right.
And so you see the same guys for 9 years that you're like, dude, this guy's a monster coach. This guy's awesome. But he comes to our coaches clinics every time.
Right.
But a month and a half ago, we had a coaches clinic, 150 coaches, 75 of them never touched a baseball in their life.
Oh, wow.
75 of them.
Wow, that's crazy.
Never played the game. So I looked at them and I was just like, this coaching baseball and softball is hard if you know what you're doing, right? If you don't know what you're doing, you have no chance at coaching. So when we do our coaches clinics, they bring sneakers, they bring a glove, and it's all hands on. So we're all throwing together. We're working on teaching them how to swing. Because I always say, kids learn by seeing. Yep. They don't learn by you just talking to them.
Yeah, swing harder.
Show them.
Yeah.
So if you can't get into a fielding triangle and kind of field, and how are you going to communicate what they're supposed to be doing at 6, 7, and 8 years old? Half of the kids never played before. So you're the first coach that they're ever with. You're the first coach that's going to get them to play or not play because they got Xbox and lacrosse and other. So you are the most impactful coach in their career, and you never played.
Right.
So I always pat them all on the back. I'm like, we're going to have some fun. And by the end of the clinic, at the end of the hour and a half, they know how to throw. They know enough how to field. And they're like, wow, this isn't that hard. I'm like, you're right. It's not that hard. We're going to give you the blueprint of here's practice plans. Here's a template here's how you figure out how to make a practice plan. And we give them all this free stuff. They can go online. They can look up, they can get our membership. We have 900 drills on there. And it shows you how to, okay, take this fielding drill, take this hitting drill, take this throwing drill in this game situation and this competition. And there's your hour practice. You plug and play. Nice. And then you just, here, you do this for a little while and this, and the videos like show you what to do. So that was what started taking on the title of coach. It's it's an easy read, but it's how do you get on a baseball knee and talk to your team? We put name tags on so you can say Johnny, Michael, Matthew, Dylan, and he knows it's Coach Duke. How many times the guys just go out there, they don't know anybody's name. The kid doesn't know their name. You can't address them and talk to them. So when Mikey's pinching Alex, it's like, hey, instead of being like, Michael, stop it. Take a baseball knee. Hey, Johnny, are you okay? Hey, Mike. Like when you call them by name, they immediately have their attention.
That's right.
You know, so we talk about that. We talk about how to warm up. We talk about how to get their bodies ready. We talk about how to close the practice down. We all put our hands in and we say 1, 2, 3 zone or 1, 2, 3 Dodgers. And every kid has to fist pump the coach before he leaves. And he says, thanks, coach. And I say, thanks, Mikey. Thanks, Alex. Great job today. Great job today. Like, it's just teaching them the lessons of life. And as a coach, like that's our responsibility. Yep. Even if, and I always say this, a coach isn't defined by how many championship trophies they win. They're defined by how many kids come back next year to play baseball.
That's right.
I've had coaches and we won 6 championships this year, but half of the team's leaving and our team's just, well, how come you won all those championships? And then you have other coaches. Yeah, we were about 500, but man, did we have fun. Blah, blah, blah. And all the kids are coming back. That's what we need. It's not all about the wins. Because at the end of the day, when you build it right, over time, you're going to win championships anyway.
That's
By default, you're going to win games, have fun, and the kids are going to keep on playing. Like, that's what it's all about.
I think that's a common theme, Aaron, that we've seen is how do you define success? And how do you know that you're doing a good job? And that's because the kids come back the next year and they want to play for you. They request to have you as a coach. And that's a common theme that we've seen. So it's very, very true.
Yeah. You know, I take the role of a youth baseball coach probably too serious in respects of like, I pay attention to the other coaches. Like I'm watching them. Are they speaking in cliched terms to the kids? Are they actually speaking on that kid's level? Like, you know, I despise to hear swing at a strike, throw a strike, all those things that parents yell from the stands, because I can promise you, if that kid's on the mound, his goal is to throw a strike. Telling him to throw a strike just adds that extra pressure. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I really got to do it now. But I see these coaches, and my wife and I were having a conversation the other night. We were talking about a coach, and I'm like, he's a cool dude. But from a baseball coach perspective, no, I don't respect him for that, because I watch how his body language is out on the field, and I watch the things that go on. And like, you can be a great person, that doesn't make you a great coach. And I don't think youth coaches take it serious enough. And that's where I get frustrated, Duke, is like, I'm like, these kids need to have fun, and talking about scores, talking about winning rings, all this stuff, like it's not even important. And Bryson and I were talking last night, like I have so many memories from my childhood, but I couldn't tell you one score of a game because it's not even relevant. It drives me crazy. That's one of those things, if you ask me what keeps me up at night, is because I think some parents, they think I'm crazy because I take it so serious. But man, I care about those kids, and that kid getting his first hit. Kid's been struggling all season, but he's been listening. He's been coachable. He's done what the coaches have asked him to do, and he gets that first hit. That's what we celebrate right there. That kid's getting that first victory, and then talking to him about what got him to this point, all that practice that he put in, and why baseball is a game of patience and it's a game of failure. So,
you know, if I could add one thing,
please,
if you don't mind, and that's the thing that Bryson, when he was talking about his dad, is I say you can't, as a coach. Good coaches don't drop the mic, right? In that situation, his dad could have pretended like he didn't hear what he said. He could have pretended like he didn't see what he saw and just kind of walked away, right? But instead, he taught Bryson a lesson that carried with him for the rest of his life, right? How many times does your best player do something that you wish you didn't see, or pretend that you didn't see so you didn't have to address it? Right?
Exactly.
Maybe slam something down and you're looking the other way. And I told my sons this all the time, like, listen, whether you're in school or you're with your friends or you're in a tough situation, don't drop the mic. if you see something, address it, like hit it head on right there. Because how many guys come to practice late 7 minutes and it's your best guy? It's like, hey, come on, hurry up. But then all of a sudden your number 11 guy comes late and you're like, hey guys, we're all running. It's like, wait a second. Johnny came, our best guy he was late 6 minutes last game and you played him and started him, and no, that's not okay. What are our real rules? Are we going to treat players fairly, equally, or differently? Right? There's 3 ways are we going to treat them fairly, equally, or differently? Well, you have to, as a coach, you have to define what that means.
Right.
And your players need to know what that means.
Exactly.
You know, if this guy plays soccer and this guy's here every day, are you going to play him equally, fairly, or differently? Right? Like there's something that needs to be said about that so the kids understand, hey, listen, I know Johnny's got soccer. He told me he's going to be late. He's going to blah, 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 blah. And you guys are going to get better, get more playing time, but he's still going to play. Like if the kids understand what's going on ahead of time, it's one thing. But all of a sudden, if it's, well, Johnny was sick yesterday, but now you benched him the whole game. But Mikey's playing soccer every Saturday. And when he comes on Sunday, he's starting shortstop and he's pitching. So what are we going to do? And I'm not saying any of them are which ones are right, which ones are wrong, because that's just up to the coach and whatever the philosophies are. But these kids want to be communicated to. These kids want to understand and know, like, okay, I was sick yesterday or I missed practice. I'm not going to play. So when mommy goes, how come you didn't play today? It's because I missed practice. But we all know that because it happens to everybody, you know? Right. So I think that I love that term. Don't drop the mic.
I like that.
It's so easy to just, I didn't see him slam his gear. Because you turned your head because you didn't want to see what, and Bryson's that's a perfect example of, he made an example out of it. And it took Bryson all through his career to never do it again and respect it that much more. That's like, right. That's what coaching is. And those are the life lessons that's why we love what we do.
Yeah.
It's because of that, right? That's what we're doing.
That's like you were talking about with where it goes, where whatever your philosophy is, let your team know it. That's where, depending on what your philosophy is if that means you're not even 500, if you don't have a 500 record, but all your guys are coming back, that's like you're saying. If you set that philosophy, your guys are going to come back because they respect you and they like what you're doing. And nobody thinks they're getting treated unfairly. That's the biggest thing. Nowadays, you see everybody's like, oh, this isn't fair. That isn't fair. When you do it one way for everybody, it's always going to be fair. And people are going to build up and become better ball players and better people because of the way that the groundwork's laid, like you're talking about.
Well, it's a process. You got to trust the process. And you hear that with all the professional coaching, and you hear it all over the places. There's a process. And again, patience comes in, but you got to trust it. And when you build, like Duke said, if you build it right, like that's where success comes from. To me, anybody can get lucky, and you can get lucky multiple times. But when you have a consistent program and you're consistent with your kids, like you're going to develop talent and it's going to leave, but you're also going to have that talent bench that's going to fill right in right behind that next crew. And it's a process. I don't know.
Word of mouth is one of the best marketing tools.
Yeah.
And if you run things the right way, then the word of mouth is going to be there.
Yeah, for sure. And you look at like the dynasties that's been in professional sports, whether it's been the Yankees or the Patriots or whoever. Like, I'm a Dolphins fan, so I've got to hate Bill Belichick just because he's a Patriot. But man, I respect that man for what he has built. I mean, you don't tolerate the mess. And Duke, I can guarantee he don't drop the mic. And Nick Saban in Alabama, he's throwing the mic. He ain't dropping it. He's throwing it. So, like, I look at those coaches. I love to listen to them do their press conferences because it's like, yeah, that's how I got to think about it as a coach. And I actually did a job interview a couple of weeks ago, and they asked me, what inspires me? What do I do? And I was like, I go listen to motivational speakers because those guys like pump me up. And that's, as a coach, that's what you want for your kids is you want to be that igniter to get them excited to play the game, to love to play the game. And I don't know. Hey, let me ask you a question, Duke. So for youth coaches out there that are struggling with some of this stuff, how do you control the parents? Like, I know in your world, like it's a very easy process around setting expectations, but in the rec world and in the youth baseball, you get a lot of parents that want that favoritism, right? They want to be the coach's best friend and they want their kid to play this position. And how dare you put my kid in the outfield? But like, as a coach, how do you manage that process?
Yeah, I gotta stir up my pot for that one.
I know it.
I think no matter what level coach you are, no matter how long you've been doing it, that is always going to be the thing that people feel it's their right to tell you whatever they want. They feel it's their right to give you their thoughts, their opinions. They might know little Johnny might not be able to catch at all. And they're like, Johnny wants to play first base. It's like, and then you're like, Johnny doesn't want to play first. He knows he can't catch. And if Mikey throws the ball as hard as he throws it, he might get hurt.
Yeah.
So it's like, listen, we're going to keep on developing your son. We give him a lot of chances at first base during practice. We're working on it. And I'm hoping that by the end of the season, he can play first base. That's our goal. That's your son's goal. But right now, he's just not ready.
Right.
Like, they have to respect that.
Yeah.
So it's not just we're going through and I'm just like you, Aaron. Like, I spend hours like thinking of my game plan. Who's going to play where? I map out all 6 innings before it even happens. And then once the game starts, who knows what's going where? But I have my plan down. The kids see it. Johnny's going to pitch the first 2 innings and then Maddie. But then all of a sudden, Johnny can't get out of the first inning because maybe he got hit by a line drive. Well, Maddie's going up early. Now I'm moving things around. But it's like they have to appreciate what we do and how we do it. If we go up there and we're winging it, hey, I think, Mikey, you play first and Johnny's playing over here. And next, and it's just, it's like, it looks like we have no idea what's going on, but I think that the expectations in the beginning are super important. The parents know what's going on, what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be doing it, that we have a game plan. And one of the biggest things that we've always done is the 24-hour rule. Mm-hmm. And the 24-hour rule is something that no matter if it's practice or a game, after it's over, you have to wait 24 hours to talk to me. So if you're super mad because Johnny only played 1 inning and the game's over now, we just lost 2-1, and you're going to come storming into from the sidelines to come over to be like, hey, Duke, how come I'm not talking to you right now? I'm already not too happy that we lost. I might be unhappy about something else. The last thing I need to do is hear you ripping into me because your son played 1 inning.
Right.
But we'll wait till the next day, and then I'll be the one that calls you and be like, hey, I'll be glad to talk to you now. You know what? It's no big deal. I didn't even, because afterwards, after it settles in at night, or after you're even an email, I said, don't email me until the next day. And so many times it's so much softer, or someone does send an email and it's this long and you're like, my son didn't play, Johnny did this. And then the next day you're like, would you like to have a car? Nah, you know what? I got it all out of my, I'm fine. Yep. And you're like, okay, because it never goes well after a game
that day
with this right here. And I got a kind of a disturbing, but this happens all the time on my Facebook page. It was a dad that said, my coach of my daughter's 10, and she made an error, and he was pointing in her face, yelling at her because she gave up 2 runs and they lost the game. He's like, what should I do? So at first I wrote this email like, you know what I would do? And then I stopped and, deleted it. And I was like, I would wait until the next day, even though I wanted to rip this guy's head off because he's pointing in my daughter's face and she's only 9 years old. And, like, what the heck are you doing?
Right.
I'm going to go in there. I'm going to write an email the next day. Hey, Coach so-and-so, I'd like to have a meeting with you. Why? Because he's settled down and he's just going to be chill.
Right.
I'm not going to go in there so chill.
Less emotions.
Yep. I gave my time. And then I would go in there and have this conversation. Like, if you ever put your finger in my but you know what I mean? Like, but he's the one that's kind of sitting back instead of me going up to him like, what do you do? As a father and as a parent, you want to defend your kid and go, who knows what would happen if you went and did it right then and there, right?
Oh, yeah.
When instead it's like, and then you cut like, is this the kind of coach you want to be? Do you really want to point and yell to a 9-year-old in her face? And like, she respects you as a coach but now, you know what I mean? So I softened it up right away by waiting until the next day and then think about and there's also 2 sides of the story, right? The way this sounded was more like, it could have been just what he saw from a distance. And maybe he was saying something as a coach, because my wife sometimes would be like, hey, what were you saying to so-and-so? You look like you were, I'm like, oh no, I was excited. We were talking about, she's like, oh, it looked like compared to what was really going on, So I also didn't want to give too much advice because I don't really know both sides of the story.
Right.
I don't know if she was one that maybe doesn't listen and like, who knows what.
Well,
and
they're looking through it from a parent's lens.
Yes. My advice was wait 24 hours, set up a meeting, and just, because maybe when you talk to your daughter the next day and you ask her, it's like, well, coach was maybe, and you're like, okay, I didn't just blow up and really go. So the 24-hour rule, I think, for coaches and parents is a very good thing that could really help them out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never heard of that. That is definitely, because you think about it, it happens all the time. I mean, like you're saying, you see it constantly with even coaches or parents. You lose a game, nobody's happy. And then you go say something you don't mean to say. And I mean, you burn bridges that just don't need to be burnt. You lose relationships. And then, I mean, like me and Aaron were talking about last night, like all my friends, everybody that like I'm really close with to this day, most of it started from Little League baseball. And so you don't want to burn those relationships because of one mistake or one misunderstanding at a game at the age of 9.
Yeah. Well, and it's a chance too. I like your point of view of as a parent walking in, because you have the ability to really help that coach become a better coach too.
Yeah.
Like instead of just assuming something, you can go in and have a conversation. And you know what? That coach may not realize some of the stuff that's going on and what the perception is. And because I've lived my life with this term, of course, you guys have heard it, perception is reality. And I feel like sometimes you can even help coach that coach to become better if you approach it the right way. If you approach it the wrong way, we both are not going to come out victorious on that one. So, hey, last couple questions I got for you, Duke. I mean, then I'm like Jen, Bryson, you guys are more than welcome to hop in. But travel ball, like it is a whole world of it in itself. Right. So the rec leagues, we do the thing. But what's your advice to parents that ask us as coaches, like, hey, when should we start travel ball? Like, what do you use to gauge when a kid's ready for travel ball versus, because some parents, especially here, they'll sign their kid up for travel ball in a heartbeat because they just want their kid to get better. Like they really just need more practice. Like, what would you tell parents and when to make that decision to switch and transfer over to travel ball?
Good question. Because obviously I have my own facility. We have our own travel teams. Yep. And none of my kids have played for me for our organization until 13.
Okay.
So I am big because the towns have their own travel teams and within themselves. And my kids always wanted to play with their friends and their this and that. And so even though they were good enough to play travel ball, they played with their friends. They played in the leagues. They stayed in house until, 13's usually when the towns really, the better kids do move on. And that's fine. They go to Cooperstown with their friends. They stay in their league until 12. But the reason why we even have younger travel teams for our club is there's a lot of towns around here that don't have travel. They don't have, the leagues are too small, so they don't have anything. So we started it because we're like, listen, the town down the street, they don't have any after rec. So they just can't play baseball. So they play travel baseball because of that.
Right.
So that's, if you think just because you think your son's good, that doesn't mean you go play club. So when I say club, I'm talking about the Zone Red Hawks, the Diamond Jacks.
Canes.
You're right. When I talk about travel, I'm just saying like the in-house town travel league, they call it. So, So just because your son at 9-year-old is really good, that doesn't mean he has to leave his town to go play for a club. He's got his whole life to play for. No one ever goes back and like, how many national championships did you win at 9U and 10U? Who cares about that?
Right.
So there is, and they train in the winter time. So you can get better doing that. Right. Like I'm not against a kid going at 10U and going to play for a club team or, people can do whatever they want. Yep. I'm just giving you my own personal experience of all 3 of my kids played all the way through Little League, all the way till they were 13U. And then they moved on. So I'm not a big believer of just jump ship just because. I'm not saying there's anything against it. I'm just saying we don't. Yeah. Because some people don't realize that kids want to play with their friends, whether they're 7, 9, or 15. If you're 15 and 3 of your boys are playing for that team, even though you really like this team, if 3 of your boys are playing over there, you might leave just for that.
Yeah, I would.
Guys like, wait, why are you leaving? Well, I'm just going to go play with my friends. You're like, wait, that's still a thing at 15? Yeah, it is. Yes, it is a thing. So sometimes there's things that's why you have to give them a good experience. That's why you have to you want to make it fun because it's not just a business. It's not a business. So I know it's a long-winded way. I hope I answered your question. I'm not a big, hey, if you throw this or you do this and you're the best guy on your team, just go and, go to club.
Yeah.
I just don't think that way. I don't, because I think that the only way, or one of the main ways to build little leagues and to build programs is you need kids in them.
That's right.
If all the kids left, who would play rec ball? There's no foundation then. Everyone's gone. And in the towns around here, to play at Bridgewater, to play on the travel team, you have to play rec. You have to play rec. So that way, it's forced on. So there's some kids that are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to play travel just because we got to play rec. And I'm like, my kids go, Daddy, I love playing rec because I'm playing with all my friends that aren't on my team, but they're my friends from school and I can help them. And they're like a superstar compared to those guys. You know what I mean? You use it as a teaching and fun and they look up to you and bro, that's them having fun. Don't strip that away from them when they're 9 and 10. If you take them and put them right on the club team, it's almost like a business already. You're at 9U, you're like, I got to make teams. I got to worry about my national ranking. I got you got your whole career for that stuff. Don't rush it.
Too much pressure. Yeah.
Let the game stay a game as long as possible.
And in some towns, right? Some towns may not have, or they're different, right? We're in New Jersey. So I'm speaking as a New Jersey guy, but I don't know what it's like in California or Texas. And I'm not sure what the whole landscape looks like out there.
Right.
Maybe that is just the thing to do. It's just I don't know. So I'm just speaking for myself.
Well, and honestly, I always give the parents, who's the coach? Do you know the coach? How much do you know about the coach? Because that dictates so much, whether it's even a rec team, travel team, club team, whatever the case may be, the coach is what you need to care about. And to me, we run a fall league, we run a spring league, and in between, of course, there's travel obviously going at all points and times. But to me, when I'm talking to parents and, I ask so you join this travel team, how often do you practice? And they practice once before a tournament. And I'm like, but that's not what you joined for. You want to take skill sets and increase those skills. And that's where some of this comes in, is you raise the level of competition and your skills have got to increase. And so if your coach is not helping you, or they're not going to help you get to that level, that's what you got to think about. What's that coach? How's that coach going to help my son? Too many parents think they know all the answers, of course. And, they know everything, just like my 7-year-old son that was in here. He knows everything too. So sometimes it's hard to explain that. But hey, Jen, Bryson, what questions you got for Duke before we let him go?
Yeah, I want to ask specifically about your coaches' clinics, because that's something that Aaron and I have talked about doing for this community, because it's very needed. What do you say to the coaches who, maybe it's those who haven't really coached before, but for Aaron and I who have, we know that a lot of it is mental. So the mental side of the game, kids that may not handle pressure very well or get down on themselves in the middle of a game. How would you tell a coach to handle that? And I'm all about what you've said, getting down on the kids' level, not yelling, explaining things to them, teaching them life lessons. But do you do anything specific in your coaches' clinics for maybe the coaches that haven't dealt with the emotions of an 8-year-old before?
Yes. So one of the stories that I tell them all the time is this. When I started coaching and they were 8 years old, one of our best players, when he got out or hit adversity a little bit, he would start crying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got done playing ball. So I was like, oh my God, what a baby. Why is he crying? That's ridiculous. He said, da, da, da. And then I watched the guy on the other team, their best player. He would get out, boom, he'd start crying. I'm like, next kid, second best player, boom, start. I'm like, I go to the next game, their best 2 guys crying when they got out. I'm like, wait a second. Why are the best guys the ones that are crying? But crying more in mad, not crying ooh, more
right.
Tears coming down, but just almost they're just mad that they got out for their team. They don't know how to handle their emotions. So what we did was we got an old toilet bowl that stuck onto the fence and it had made a flushing sound on it. So it made a toilet bowl sound. So the kids, after they got out, I said, listen, you can only do one thing. If you're going to cry, which I don't even care anymore because I realize that's just the thing. You can cry. You have to press the flush. You have to flush the toilet bowl to get rid of it, but you have to stay on the fence and cheer on your teammates. If you're crying while you're cheering them on, I don't care. That's just right. An emotion. If you're sitting on the side over there by yourself with your head like this, that's not okay.
That's a problem.
That part is not okay anymore. So, because that's about you. The team is about us. So you can be upset and be upset that you got out, but then you're still a good teammate, right? So tears or no tears, I don't even care anymore. I don't say, don't be a baby, because if you're having a bad day, it never helps you when someone goes, cheer up.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Or don't be mad. It makes it even worse. So to say, stop crying, like you're not hitting the root of what's wrong, right? Like, hey, buddy, what are you feeling? I'm just really upset that hey, let's go. You got 2 more at-bats. Okay. Like you just talked them through what his feeling was to help them like overcome that. So the toilet bowl, the flushing thing. And I even do this with my 16-year-olds. I did it this summer before a season. I said, what's one way that we can help you when the going gets tougher, when you are upset about something? And these are 16-year-old guys. I'm like, here's what you can tell me. Hey, Coach Duke, let's go. Like, that's all I need to shake off whatever's wrong. Johnny over here was like, I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't like when people talk to me or say, oh, it's okay. Like, because it's not okay for me. So I'd rather you just leave me alone and then I'll be fine. And then I'll be fine. The next guy wants a pat on the back. He wants you to kind of go around his head and be like, dude, you got this. And he just kind of feels better and he just kind of rebounds. Like, so we went around the room. I wrote this down as a coach because now I know that Ryan wants to be left alone. Johnny wants a big hug. Timmy just wants a little pat saying you're okay. And now we all know what each other needs because Coach Duke's not always a fireball, energizer bunny. Sometimes I'm making a bad call. Hey, but all I need is, hey, let's go, Coach Duke. And I'm right out of it. But if they don't know that, so it's an easy exercise, but it shows that you care and you can handle your 12 kids like that.
Just like that. If you know what they need.
That we do, that just is like, wow. And we listen to them. Like, how many parents or adults listen to kids these days? How many parents actually say, hey, Johnny, how's your day today?
Right.
And wait until they talk. And, it, not just, hey, how's your day today? And not even listen or not even care. And just like, you're asking the question to not listen. So you as a coach can take 30 seconds of every practice. Like, hey, Johnny, how'd you do today? How was your day? Oh, coach, I had a test and I did it. Oh, my day was good. And now you're just like, because maybe Johnny goes, my parents are getting a divorce. And you're like, I wasn't expecting to hear that. But maybe that this weekend when he was struggling, it wasn't because his mechanics were bad or because he's going through some stuff at home that you had no idea what was going on.
That's right.
That's why we're not just coaches. We're mentors. We're psychiatrists. We're social. We're so many things.
Oh my gosh.
And that's why a coach is so exhausting, right? Being a coach is so mentally draining. You're not just going like this with your arm, stop, go, making the lineup. It's like you're doing so much more than that. And I think that's where people need to realize, like, treat these kids like human beings and they're real people, not yell at them when they do things wrong. Give them a high five when they do things like they don't. It's an embarrassing game. Like, it's a team sport, but yet it's so individualized. When you're pitching, there's no one out there helping you throw a strike. When you're hitting, no one's hitting for you. When that ground ball hits you, you got to field it. Yeah, I'm throwing to a teammate, but this is an individual game made up of a lot of individual things to make up a team. So people forget that, like how much of a struggle it is when I'm hitting and I'm slumping and everyone's looking at me and everyone's yelling for me and I'm just nervous and there's a lot of pressure in that. Yeah. Right. And then the mom and the dad feel the same pressure and they're in the stands with the same kind of like anxiety and stress. And you know what I mean? Like, it just carries all down. And that's where I think the arguments come in and the fight is because you feel what your kid feels. Your kid's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and I'm in the stands and someone's like, why is he even playing? You want to go rip his head off because you're right. Like, those are the things that I think people they're not respectful enough and they don't have any empathy for what's going on around them. It's just about them and their kid. Like, my wife says this all the time. How come Brady only played 2 innings? And I'm like, well, everybody played 2 innings. She's like, oh, I don't really look at everyone else, right? I only look at my kid. Right. You don't see that everybody else did the same thing, or you didn't see. And she's like, you're right, I don't. Like, Brady's my, like, so that just puts it in perspective of, like, her eyes aren't on everybody else. She's not worried about what the left fielder's doing and keeping track. And she goes and watches the game, and Brady gets up and he catches, and then he wants to play left. So I think that there's just a lot to the game that we need to just realize it's bigger than us.
Yeah.
It's bigger than just our kids. So again, sorry for giving a long answer, Jen, but I love it. Yeah, this stuff all just feeds into each other, I feel.
So Jen, I got to point this out. So the L part of the slide for us is leadership. All right. So S is sportsmanship, L is leadership. And what I heard from you right there, and I want coaches to hear this, is how you want to be coached doesn't mean those kids want to be coached. How I, as an individual, want to be coached is completely different than most of the kids on my baseball team right now. Right. And I think what you've said is, know your players. Know what they want. Yeah. My son last season told me that he did not like us cheering him on when he stepped up to bat. And he is one of those kids that he has a lot of anxiety. He has a real big fear of failure. Like, he's just so hard on himself. And it doesn't matter if I tell him, actually, Jen, we recorded before we hopped on here, and I gave him a few minutes to talk. And we talked about a couple of things you just referenced. And, I told him, I'm like, dude, you can strike out every time up to bat. But dude, I need you to be a good sportsmanship, and I need you to be a great teammate. That will carry with you from 6U to retirement, is understanding that. And, one of the things that you said, and I deal with this a lot, is he asked me on the recording day, what's the most important position on the field? And I was like, whoever's got the ball in their possession at the time. And because when the pitcher's on the mound, it's the pitcher and the catcher. When the ball goes to the outfield and to that left fielder, he now is the most important position on the field. And he hits his cutoff man, and then it just trickles around the field. And too many times we're so concerned about a position, or in 8U and in 6U, whoever's playing the circle, because that's the premium spot there. We don't place enough value on those other positions. And, some of those kids, they feel like they're not part of the team because of that. And I think coaches have to be aware of that and include every kid as a part of those conversations, that they are an important part of the team. So sorry, I have a tendency to just rant as well. So it's okay.
It makes it so good. That's what makes this so good.
All right, Bryson, what you got for Duke? Anything left?
So as somebody I'm pretty high energy guy, very competitive. And I do want to get into coaching in some aspect. And even if it's just coaching my own kids one day when I have them or whatever, I don't really know yet. But as somebody that I can tell is high energy and stuff, how do you deal with that kid that is kind of just doesn't take your high energy, may not take your high energy always positive, even though you're not trying to scare him? You may be scaring the 6 or 7 year old that doesn't really understand where you're coming from. How do you handle, how do you make sure to get on his level with situations like that?
All right. So I'll tell you this story, and then I'll tell you how I handled it. So it was about 6 months ago. I had a 15-year-old girl come in that her friend referred for the first time. Her and I had never hit before. She comes over. I'm like, hey, I'm Coach Duke, Sophia. It's really nice to meet you. And I saw her kind of sink in her chair a little bit, whoa, right? Didn't even faze me, because I was just I'm still me, right? She comes into the cage. We start talking. She puts her hand up like this. And she's like, hold on a second. She's like, you're too much for me.
Really?
I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, you're just too I'm like, am I scaring you? She goes, no, but just I like to do my stuff. And I was like, okay. Totally just chilled down. It was flip balls to her. I'm like, well, there's going to be times where I'm going to have to show you the position and just tell you what we're going to be. She goes, no, that's fine. So, and the lesson was over, and she's like, thanks so much. That was an awesome lesson. And thank you for kind of toning it down. And I was like, no one's ever done that to me before. It was amazing that she was only 15 and she knew enough about herself to be like, hey, if I'm going to have a good time and get something out of this guy needs to know my level. So what I did with my 16Us, since I did the whole what do you like, or what's a way to calm you down, I said, and I got this from this girl that I work with, Karina Gaskins. She's the ACC Player of the Year this past year. She's a first baseman. And we're sitting down, I'm like, so what are some things that you do at Notre Dame? And she's like, well, so we're talking. She's like, one of the things that we do is we have to know each other's optimum playing level. I'm like, what is that? She goes, you would be an 8 or a 9. Your level of just your energy levels, you're going great when you're at an 8 or 9. She goes, I'm a level 3. She's like, when you walk up to me and you want to just give me a hug, and I like give you a high five instead, that's me being like a level 3. Like I'll still hug you, but it's kind of like I'd rather give you a high five. And I was just like, okay. So I went down there. So I talked to the kids about this. I'm like, you've never thought about this before, but what's your optimum level of play? There was like 80% of them was a level 4 or a level 3. Chill. Like, and I got to tell you, my leadoff hitter, more of a number 5, or my number 3 hitter, once he told me this, he's so like analyzes things, kind of like checks things out. Like I coach him differently. Like, I'm not like, dude, great job. Like it's almost like, hey, awesome job, man. Like, let's go. Great job. And he just,
you have to
do it more.
Settle yourself down first.
But knowing that, so Karina explained this to me too. She's like, if I'm a 4 or a 3 and you're like an 8, if I know you're an 8, I can raise my level from a 4 to a 5. If you can come down from your 8 to a 7, and we'll have a better conversation, but you can't be your 8. You can't be your 8 around me, or else like, I don't even want to be around you that much because you really make me uncomfortable. And vice versa. When I'm with somebody that's like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm getting my energy drained, but you're not. But you're not when you know what their energy level is.
Yep.
I don't need to bring her up to my 7 or 8. So that's what I would say for you. When you go into a room and you're like, you got to be yourself, but you got to feel out the room. Like you got to see who, just because someone's like me, doesn't mean I'm the one that runs the room, because there's people that are level 3s that are just beasts.
Yeah.
But they have their own confidence at a level 3. They listen. They analyze, they're thinking, you know what I mean? Like, so everybody's just, their makeup is so different that you'll gravitate to your 8s and 9s or your 7s, or like the 4s will all hang out together. The 2s will hang out together. And as a coach, you got to be able to be like, okay, how do I take these 8s, the 4s, and the 6s and build an awesome team around it? Well, the way you build an awesome team is the 8s know who's a 4 and they know who's a 3, and they know how to talk to them and be with them. And so now everyone's in their own comfort zone. Everyone's in their own optimum level. So your team's going to win. You're not trying to make a team of all 8s. And that's what we want, right? That's how I want all 8s. Like,
100%.
Deal with them the most.
The fire and all that.
I know how to train them. I know how to, but a 4, I got to be like, okay, I know that so-and-so, she gets a high five and she's like, good job. Like, so Karina's not going to go to the front of the top of the stick and start screaming, but she's going to chill back here and still root you on like a great teammate. It's just not going to be the same way. But you know that when she gets up there, that's her level 8. Like that is her, like, you know what I mean? So you're aware
that's
of
pretty cool.
people. When you're aware of your surroundings, you know what gets Johnny fired up. You know how to help him when he's down low. That's how you win championship programs. That's how you win games. That's how you get people to have a great experience, because they can be themselves. They don't have to be a number 10 if they're a 4. Like, you're not asking them to be. And that's where I think coaches don't get that. Like, they don't but I do this for a living. Like, this is what I do every day. Like, I'm like you guys, I'm studying the game. I'm studying the best of the best. I'm studying sports psychologists and hitting, like, so I wouldn't, 10 years ago, I'd be like, I didn't know any of that. I haven't been doing this forever. Right. Like, I'm just kind of building on. So I'm just trying to give you, to answer your question, like, meet them where they are. Like, meet them where they are and communicate it and talk. And, because at the end of the day, like, really think about it, I'm not an 8. I'm too crazy at an 8. Like, I'm nuts at 8. I'm really like a 6. Like, that's a high. Like, when I'm playing at a 6, like, dude, I'm rocking. Like, when I get to an 8 now, I'm just like too high, too low,
It's a roller coaster at 8 for me. And that's exactly how I was. I had to realize that as a player myself. And it took me forever to realize it. At an 8, it's nothing but a roller coaster all the time. And that's not good. You got to be at some type of even keel to be productive in the game of baseball. I mean, we've talked about it on the show before. Like, you got to find a way to get to that point where you're fired up, but at the same time, you're not too fired up where mistakes start.
You're fired up under control.
That's
exactly.
Right.
Fired up under control.
That's right.
Exactly.
Controlled chaos.
I think you had one more question, Jen, before you had a question.
Oh, I was just going to ask, like, for the people that are like me, that are fired up after hearing everything that you've said, how can we find you on, like, social media? I want the book. I want all the things now, like all the
of it.
Practice programs, all the schedules, and to be able to give my kids the best tools. So tell us how we can find all that.
Well, you can find me on everything. All my social media is at Duke Baxter, DukeBaxter.
Okay.
Dominate the Diamond is our online coaching stuff. So dominatethediamond.com. It's baseball, softball. You can click on the top right. You get a 3-day all access pass to everything we have, right? But there's still free templates. There's practice plans. There's all that stuff on there. And then our brick and mortar is at Zone Sports. So ZONED, SPORTS. That's our in-house facility. It's 28,000 square feet. That's where we do all of our training and all of our.
Wow.
And then we have Dominate the Diamond is the online coaching courses, and then Duke Baxter's kind of all my fun drills and the stuff I do with the kids and coaching and all that good stuff.
It sounds like we need to take a trip up there, I think.
I know, dude.
Yes.
I want to go to the coaching clinics. I want to go through some of the practice. I want to be I want to stand right beside the kids, and I want Duke to coach me the same way. I want to do that. And I think that would be fun. Hey, Jen, what's my energy level? What would you think my energy level is? Your
optimum level, I'm going to say 7.
I would say so. Yeah. But, and like what you're saying, Duke, is understanding everyone's I can probably, after a game, I'm 8. I don't know what scale would go to on that one, but in normal life, it's so funny though, the dynamics of between my wife and myself, we're so significantly different, and then our kids have to understand that stuff. So I can see it relating completely to the baseball field, because there's definitely kids that I coach differently. There's some kids that I have to, come on, buddy, we got it. And then there's some that I'm like, hey, dude, watch your swing, level swing, keep stepping forward. Where's that front foot going? And then I can turn around, walk back to first base and go coach. Because I know he's listened, he knows, he's already aware. And so I think that's when a coach becomes a coach, is when you realize that each one of your players are different. They need different attention. And that's when, like you said, that's when the good things start to happen. So, all right, Duke, last question I got for you, dude. And we asked this to everyone on the call. If you walk up to bat today, what's going to be your walkout song? This is always fun. This is a big deal. Jen, we still
didn't know it right off the bat.
No.
Well, I'm trying to think of I know what song. I don't know who the
artist
singer
is. Yeah.
The artist is a husband and wife, and it's Thank God, and it's talking about the husband and wife meeting each other, and he puts his hand in. It's almost like together, the two of them can conquer anything. And somehow, what have I done to deserve meeting someone like you? And to be able to and I feel like that's the baseball for me, right? Thanking God about that, just putting the baseball in my hand and being like, dude, this is your gift. And what are you going to do with this? Right? What are you going to do with this? And how are you going to do great things? And I feel like that's when I step up to the plate. That's what I think of. I've taken this game and I've given it everything I had, from coaching and playing and helping. And that I just want to keep on giving back to the game the way that the game's given to me. So
that's a great answer.
That might be a corny answer, but that's my answer.
I love that.
Jen, you were right. That is Kane Brown. Yep, Kane Brown.
Yeah, that's him and his wife.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's the most in-depth one I've ever heard, and that was impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that was great.
I love the thought that went into it, though, because music is my thing. I love baseball, but music talks to me. And I was talking to Steinman last night, and ground balls to me is listening to a drum beat. You start to see that bounce 1, 2, when that third bounce is coming, it's rhythm, it's standing up to bat and getting your timing correct on that pitcher. And can you count it off right? And I mean, to me, music is a direct tie into baseball, at least in my head. So, and sorry, dude, that was probably crazy, way out there, far-fetched for you.
No, that's perfect. Dude, that's perfect. That's what, when I gave my speech, that's what I did. I had the ball in my hand and I was like, this 5-ounce ball with 108 stitches is much more than just an object that I can take and throw it. It's when I look at this, everyone, my first lesson of the day, I'm smelling it, whether it's a baseball or something, the leather, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, man, the smell,
it smells so good.
It brings me to life. It just brings everything to life, bro. It's
dude.
It's like a woman smelling a rose. It just the ball just
well, the leather, that leather with some dirt mixed into it.
Let's go. Let's go.
I can smell it right now, dude. I know it.
You're bringing me up to an 8, bro. You're bringing me up to an 8.
That's right. Hey,
in my mind.
That's it.
I got to get back down to 6.
That's right, man. It's getting close to bedtime. So, and I know you get up early because I see your post at 6 a.m. and all that stuff.
As soon as I get done with my walk, I go straight on that thing and just give my little my morning message.
I love it, man. The quotes that you post, man, I can tell you, I love to read inspirational quotes because and I think anyone that's in a leadership position, regardless if it's on a baseball field, a basketball court, a 100-yard football field, you got to find a way to be inspired. You've got to be inspired as a coach, and then you got to find a way to inspire the kids. And however you go about doing it, do it. But just find what motivates you, and hey, man, have fun with the kids. So, Duke, thank you very much, sir, for being on with us tonight. Man, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, man. I've gotten cold chills a couple times sitting here. So
it's been awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys doing this. I mean, being able to give the messages to the kids to hear different people and different areas of the game. I just think it's awesome because they're not alone with some of the things that they're thinking and the feelings that they have. And just like you talked about Bryson, like when college is over, then what? Like, you need to surround yourself with people that have been in that same situation of, well, now what? I felt the same way, but now look, like, this is now what? Facilities or coaching or this or that. Like it's much bigger than just use this as a stepping stone for what you're going to do next. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's just don't think that, the baseball's gone. It's not Bryson, the baseball player. It's you play baseball. Right, you're Bryson Mitchell, and you play baseball. You're not a baseball player. Like that's not the definition of you. It
doesn't define you. Yeah,
it's something you do. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what, if people who listen to this episode today learn half as much as I think I have, then they're going to be doing all right. This has been awesome. It's been a good one for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And it lived up to every bit of my expectations, man. I was super pumped and ready. And dude, you got me in an 8 right now. I'll have to go in there and I'm going to drive the wife crazy now. So, hey, thank you very much for hopping on. For everyone else listening, a lot more shows to come. We've got some repeat guests coming back. We'll have Christy Moore, the umpire, coming back. Case and the Kid umpire will be joining us back as well. And anyone out there that you want to be on the show, hey, send us a request. Tell us your story. Tell us about what we want to celebrate. And it could be your first hit. Could be your first put out on the baseball field. So just reach out to us and let's celebrate together. So until then, Jen.
We'll catch you on the slide.
There we go. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Slide Podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, stay connected with Coach Jen and Aaron on Instagram at The Slide Podcast Show, on Facebook at The Slide Podcast, and the Facebook private group, The SLIDE Podcast. Until next time.